na niwaombe hawa vijana wetu tuwaongeleshe. Hawana makosa, ni kukosa namna. Lakini as parents, as leaders, as church leaders, as political leaders, mimi na huyu Wabombi, sote tuungane, tuongelesha hawa vijana, tupange vizuri, ili waelewe we have a plan for them.
Why can't President William Ruto apologize to Kenyans for his mistakes? It is evident that Kenyans expect Ruto to admit that his administration has led the country into its current predicament. Currently, at least 60% of Kenyans feel that the president has failed them significantly, particularly with decisions like the Finance Bill of 2024, which sparked widespread unrest and violence across the country. Now, despite his reputation for empathy, Ruto's recent interview portrayed him as an indifferent to the well-being of Kenyans. He even threatened that those who opposed the finance bill would regret in the near future.
We have dropped the finance bill. Yeah? What does that mean? It means we have gone back almost 2 years. It means that this year we are going to borrow 1 trillion shillings to be able to run our government. That's what it means. I have been working very hard to pull Kenya out of a debt trap.
Mr. President.
Let me just allow me, because you know we need to contextualize this finance bill. It is easy, Joe. It is easy for us as a country to say, let us reject the finance bill. That's fine. And I have graciously said we will drop the finance bill, but it has huge consequences. It means we will not confirm the JSS teachers, 46,000 of them. It means we cannot support our farmers with 2 billion shillings for us to make sure that farmers get a fair return of 50 shillings per kilogram.
President is telling us that sasa kwa sababu mmesema ni drop your bill, nitakopa madeni. How many trillion, sir? Sasa nikigeuka hivi kopa, nikigeuka hivi kopa. Your Excellency, why we are copying like this? How about we just reduce all these expenditures? Kwa sababu tunakopa ya nini? Hata mkopa hawafanyi hivyo. Tunakopa ya nini? Tunakopa while we have set aside 600 million to renovate the house of the... Tunakopa na president ana use over 10 million kwa flight in one trip. One trip. Na mnajua huyu anko ameenda trips ngapi? La. Tunakopa na 250 million ni ya medals. Tutakopa. You know, he said, mmekata hiyo bill, mmekata vengeance. Ashuke.
Such statements have contributed to the perception that the president is disconnected from the very people who elected him. Netizens expected his speech to resonate with unity, similar to former President Uhuru Kenyatta's addresses, which often began with fellow Kenyans to show solidarity. Instead, Ruto's direct and unemotional approach during times of crisis has led to widespread dissatisfaction.
Tell me why the president will be asked about a baby who was shot almost 10 times. And the first thing he says is, but he's not dead, right? He's alive. Huyu ni nani? Na anaenda wapi? Huyu ni nani? Somebody has been shot. A little baby who was not in the protest. No empathy, no nothing. It's just like he's alive. Oh, you mean the one who was... Okay, this is not the guy for the rubber bullet. This is another one. Huyu ni nani? No. Huyu ni nani? You're asked about police brutality and you say, they overpowered the police and they took the gun and they shot themselves. Okay, kwani tuko class? Tupo baby class. Me. Do like this. Do like this. Do like this.
Many believe that the president should adopt a more empathetic tone when addressing the nation during difficult times, just like this video right here.
Fellow countrymen, after deep soul searching, I have come to the profound realization that our nation is pleading for change. The youthful generation of this country have led the way into the light. We owe them a huge debt of gratitude. For a long time, our nation has been plagued with massive corruption, plunder of state resources, wasteful expenditure, eroded ethics in public and private sector, negative ethnicity, desecration of places of worship, among others. I feel your pain. I want a better Kenya too. My children want a better Kenya too.
It has been over 3 days since his last public appearance, and his continued silence has only fueled speculations about his whereabouts and intentions. Some wonder if he is devising a plan to salvage his damaged reputation, which has been further undermined by several controversial appointments in his government. In his absence, numerous close allies have shown empathy towards Kenyans amidst the nationwide protests trying to restore trust in Ruto's government. For instance, Charlene Ruto, the president's daughter, recently held a press conference addressing the country's economic challenges and expressing solidarity with peaceful protesters, stating, "I am one of you."
Because I stand before you today, not just as the president's daughter, but as one of you, a young Kenyan passionate about our country's future. I hear your voices, I understand your concerns. The challenges we face as a generation are real and pressing. From unemployment to the rising cost of living, we are all feeling the impact of our current economic situation. I want you to know that your engagement in our nation's affairs is not just welcome, but essential. They all contribute to the vibrant democracy we are building together.
Similarly, Aaron Cheruiyot, a Kericho senator, nearly knelt down during a Senate proceeding, pleading for forgiveness on behalf of the president's administration.
Not many countries have gotten to this point and turned back. There are some that 20, 30, 50 years are still trying to turn back actually, after moments such as this. Therefore, this calls for introspection, not even necessarily as Senator for Kericho, majority leader, but just as a leader and somebody who God has granted the opportunity to serve in a position of responsibility in this country, to tender my unreserved apology to the country for either by commission or omission, everything that I have contributed into getting us into the mess and the place that we are in. I have reflected deeply the last few days, Mr. Speaker, and looked through my own journey as an individual and asked myself very serious questions, trying to wear the shoes of the ordinary citizens and how they feel at this particular moment about me as a person. I don't want to focus about any other individual, whichever office they occupy, but just me, a citizen of this country, that God in his own wisdom granted the opportunity to serve in a place of responsibility and try to retrace my steps. What is it that perhaps I should have done better? I have to be sincere, Mr. Speaker, that there were days in the night that I contemplated even quitting and said, perhaps maybe other people can do it. But this is not the time to quit, because quitting doesn't solve. It doesn't get us out of the hole that you already are in. If it's about getting out and running away, Mr. Speaker, you first sort the mess that you created. I'm afraid, Mr. Speaker, that I know that is the agony that many of our colleagues have thought through. And therefore, just to bring the country up to speed and appreciate why the Senate of the Republic of Kenya is seated this morning, is that we had a session yesterday in the afternoon where we sat down as a Senate of the Republic of Kenya off camera, not in this chamber, but seated somewhere together and reasoned and said, what is it that we can make as our contribution? We are deeply embarrassed, Mr. Speaker, that it has taken young children to point to us that you are naked as our leaders. Extremely troubling. A moment that, to many of the people that I listened to yesterday in the afternoon as leaders shared their experiences and what has been the last few weeks, I realized that we are in extraordinary times, and ordinary solutions that we have proposed in the past cannot work this time. Unless we are serious, unless we are genuine, unless we are honest, unless we mean it, let us not begin this conversation in this house this morning, Mr. Speaker. And I'd wish to put it on record that I come 100% willing and committed, standing before the Senate and the Republic of Kenya, knowing well that one way or the other, I have made a contribution that I am ready to be persuaded and to be led jointly, first of all, by the leaders that are here and by the things that we are being told by the people that are speaking in the public spaces and the conversation that's going on in the country, Mr. Speaker, on what we need to do to redeem and win back our country.
Now, these actions have led to speculation that Ruto may have sent them to apologize on his behalf, as his position may prevent him from publicly asking for forgiveness or accepting his mistakes. But the big question is, are you even ready to forgive William Ruto?